Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 414th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 6, 2022. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today, along with Dean at the KFTV studio. And of course, we are joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who, as per usual in these weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops, will deliver today's teaching and information. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to go today?
Yes. Good morning, good day to you. As usual, wherever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute at this moment of time, from the nation of Austria, from the nation of human race, and always one planet. We welcome you to the new year in the Christian calendar, and we know and we hope it will be one of the best years human race has ever seen. In a way, the big change, the change which mankind has been waiting for, will be fulfilled this year, one way or another, in different strengths, in different dimensions, and different ways through the dimension of physicality or the soul of man. Many of you as knowledge seekers and others will be enlightened to a new dimension. We'll understand more, many of us will change our lives because of it, for it, and through it. Becomes the basis for the foundation of a new race of human race on this planet and throughout the universe. This will be the year when the man will take the first stride to become in total part of universal community. Become part of what it will see to become is elevation of his soul, elevation of his own physicality, to understand both. To understand what to do with it and how to do with it. Become the soul alone without the attachments of the physicality, or become in a dimension that physicality and the soul will travel together. One is what we call the point of death, and one becomes becoming passengers of the universe. What is real, what is not real, it'll become one of the biggest problems for the human race in space. In the world of physics, in the world of understanding, reflection, and manifestation of the physicality, to the side of the man, those who choose the path of the physical dimensional transportation, what can rely to be real and what becomes to be mirage. What is a reflection and what is the truth? The soul you see is the real soul in front of you. The physicality you see is the real physical dimension to you, or is it a reflection, a mirage? We have to understand that to keep a plasma moving, plasmas usually take a spherical shape, the sun, or a slightly flatter shape through the compression of the fields of the universe, a disk, but still a plasma. And there is an inherent problem with this shape, that man has understood it partially in the dimension of the physics of the matter state, but now he has to understand the same exists in the dimension of the what we call fields of the universe. When you have a spherical, shining, transparent ball like a plasma, are you in it or are you outside it? What do you see if you are in it is real, or what you see is a mirage? Is the dimension you see a real entity, or what you see outside exist? Does one inside another create the same problem? What does this mean? Many of you have been through the physics. Many of you have understood the physics, the concave and convex mirrors. Now you have transportation, dynamic what we call fields, which create that effect of the mirror, is not solid. But the O2 is transition and rotation creates reflection. Then it comes a question for man to answer in the wrong way. When we travel the depth of the space, when we convert or we decide the physicality of the environment, is that environment real? Or is it a mirage that we have come to see, to feel, to understand? Reflection of the galaxies and the other position in the universe due to reflection of the light of the, what we call the galaxy itself within the dynamic spirit shape of the universe. Then we come to understand many of the things we see in the physical eye are not real, they are mirage. What do? Do you manifest yourself
excuse me.
There is nothing but you think it's a planet.
We're
What
getting
happens? How do you change? How does your soul convert itself? Yeah.
Beginning of some dropping out, Mr. Keshe. I'm losing a few of your words there. It sounds like a bandwidth thing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly. Thank you.
Clear. Okay, we switched on the system. Then it comes to understand, how do we manifest ourselves? Do we manifest ourselves in a dimension of the reality, or do we manifest ourselves in a dimension of upside down, where we call it another cycle, where the reality doesn't exist, but it's a mirage? Mankind will have a lot of problem with this process. Mankind will come to suffer heavily if it does not understand. How do you transfer, even if you land in the right space and dimension and the field, which has no matter dimension, but is the plasma of the fields of the existence, and you want to convert your energy into manifestation of physicality? How do you do it? How do we convert our souls when we transport ourselves within a system from one system to another? When I transport you through the new transportation system, I transport you through the dimension of the soul of the man, not the physicality of the man. I don't look for every cell, what it's going to be, what energy will have. I transport you through the soul. And the soul of the man in the dimension of the arrival at the point of manifestation has to be able to convert itself to the fields of the strength of the matter state on the condition, or physical plasma state, on the condition of point of manifestation. Then mankind comes to understand it needs a new understanding. It needs a new conversion. It needs to understand how to convert a mass of fields, a mass of energy, tangible or visible. You arrive to a point, you meet with another plasma, which is alive, is a living thing. How do you manifest yourself to it? It has no eyes, but it wants to feel you. It wants to understand who you are. You want to understand who it is. How do you change the field of the plasma of the soul of the man in the dimension of the detection and manifestation and confirmation in a physical dimension at the point of manifestation to the other soul? Then mankind needs to understand why we, in so many times, we refer to the inertia. Inertia of the point of the manifestation. Inertia of the point of the change and conversion to the strength of. Then you understand why we so in time in the past emphasize on understanding this. Even in the teachings of the matter state, we always send creation of the plasma in the upper atmosphere of the earth, when it comes in touch with the inertia of the matter state, converts to that matter on this planet. Now man needs to understand this. How does he convert part of the strength of his own soul to become his inertia detector, inertia conversion rate? And this is where the soul of the man will manifest itself both in the dimension of the soul and the dimension of the physicality. But the soul of the physicality exists within the dimension of the soul of the man. You cannot be fixed ratio, fixed what they call a strength of inertia. Your inertia, your fixed inertia on earth would not work in another dimension. You need the inertia of the point of dimension of manifestation. Then we understand more how in the new flight system, even our flight system has to be dynamic to be able to manifest itself, to hold itself in both dimensions of the physicality and the soul. For the first time, the systems we develop for the deeper space travel will carry the soul of their own, which allows them never to be converted, never to be destroyed, does not matter what field of strength they travel through. Then you understand when we said at the very beginning of the teaching some years ago, we trust a soul in the hand of the captain that will deliver us at the point of where we want to be in the dimension of physicality. We give our souls to it, and then it protects it, and at the point of manifestation and delivery, we release it to be there. That soul is the soul of the craft. That soul is the soul of the entity within, which many of us will choose to travel with. It does not matter what the state of inertia, in which point and what strength, the soul of the craft, the soul of the man, which is a craft itself, travels. We see the soul of a craft to be responsible for what may be chairs and tables, we call it, or a dimension of existence to feed. Your soul is again a captain for every cell of your body, which has accepted responsibility of to look after every cell, to look after every point of existence, manifestation of the physicality within the body of the man. So when we look at the physicality of the man and the soul of the man, we look at another universal dimension, another universal entity, another existence. And this is where mankind has to understand with the new systems we are introducing and bringing out this year, and you will see it in Arizona, in Tehran, or in Austria. We consider both dimensions. That every system not only carries the matter state strength field of inertia, but has to carry the soul of the craft, has to carry the soul of the passengers of the craft, and deliver the man at the point of manifestation. I don't take you in the physical dimension from Beijing and deliver you in New York a minute later. Then you say, what happened with a negative G? What's going to happen with a higher speed? It does not exist. This is the old physics. This is what man had in a matter state. The dimension of the new understanding and the way we are preparing you to become man of universe is to understand that there is another way. There is a knowledge beyond the knowledge of matter state and physicality of the man. In a new flight system, we transport thousands of you in these small aircrafts because we let you come in. You walk in and you become the soul. We deliver you as a soul to New York, to Tehran, to Beijing, on the moon or universe in the same system, in the same flight matter. On the flight path, you could be anywhere. The soul of the craft will take you and delivers the soul. And then you decide if you're in New York, you want to be blue eye, white skin, or black skin and brown eyes, or be the shape of the man on the moon or the Mars or the planet. But the craft is the same craft. The new enhancement unit, which is brought in and will be delivered to Arizona, Austria, and Tehran in the coming weeks, is the new cycle of knowledge, even for the universal community. Is understanding of the elevation of the soul of the universe and not the man. The new systems Do not carry what man always thought. I put an ice cream in a box and I open the box, I receive ice cream in another position. The shape and the taste of the ice cream on the point of arrival depends on the man who uses it and what taste he wants that ice cream to be and what shape he will have, not the shape you put the package in. Mankind has to become to understand the point of the transportation and transmutation of the man and the human race has changed. And in the coming months and the coming weeks, we'll emphasize and we deliver. Many are waiting for us to deliver financial supports to build the centers. We'll build these centers in the soul of the man, those who are devoted, and those who have served what we call the humanity. Then you understand. Then it comes to be understood that the soul of the man has already had its pioneers among the knowledge seekers and those who serve the humanity already in space and position. It does not matter if you're in the dimension of physicality of the earth or you have your soul or your ancestor souls have chosen a position across the universe. Mankind will understand. Mankind soon will understand what it meant by the birth of Mitra in the dimension of physicality and the dimension of the soul of the man. Mankind will come to understand that from now on, he is and will be in charge of his soul and not the dimension of physicality, where the physicality will take shape according to position, manifestation, and time. Creating passports and creating birth certificates will have no meaning as you manifest in New York as a black man with the brown eyes, and you were born in China with whatever color of the skin, yellow and blue eyes or green eyes or brown eyes. Then we understand there is a need and a process that will come to the teaching that the identity of you is the identity of your soul. The way it has been and always shall be. The strength of the soul, the dimension of a serving, what we call the race of the universe, not the man only. As if we become only serving the man, we become back in the same trap of the spiritual of the earth, binded and imprisoned to one dimension and one place and one position. This was the station of the prophet of the past. And now he has opened up for the man to understand the totality of the process of the growth of the soul of the creation of the man in the dimension of the universe will become easier to be understood. One of the biggest problems, those who travel with the new flight systems, will be to understand the strength of the soul of the inertia of their body according to the environment of the manifestation. You do not want to appear in the North Pole with swimwear and in the middle of the desert with a fair skin or a fair coat. This is what the new knowledge will be. The cycle of man in the teaching of this year is to bring man to the point of understanding how he manifests himself, how he transmutes himself in both dimensions and both the strength. The clarity of the thoughts, the clarity of the understanding, the position and the strength of the soul of the man in all dimensions. To understanding what is the real point of manifestation, or am I manifesting myself in the middle of nowhere thinking I am somewhere? In a dimension of understanding, mankind will become to understand, to measure the strength of the fields of the inertia at the point of manifestation. That this will give the man a chance to understand if the position is real or is imaginary or is just by the vision of the man. What we call convex and what we call concave manifestation of the images to be real or to be imaginary or virtual is part of the work of the universe. Then mankind will come to understand one point. Most of the stars, most of the galaxies that we look at in the depths of the space is nothing but the mirage. Where we as human race and other races have come to observe, as we were looking at the reflexes of what we call conjectories of the fields of the strength of the interaction of the fields of the universe and the time and the position. This gives you an amazing power of the knowledge. This gives you an amazing, what we call strength in understanding the power of the man. Which means if you get it the right strength, if you get it to the right inertia strength, that it can be in parallel and the strength of the universe or universe or galaxy or the planet, you can manifest yourself at different points at the same time. But which one will be the real one? And which one will be the imaginary and the mirage? And how would you distinguish between the imaginary and the mirage? Are you talking to the real thing, or are you talking and receiving energy through the mirage? But with the mirage strength will be convey of the energy of the reality. All these has to be unraveled, understood, and deciphered by the present man knowledge. Because you will not have the eye to see, but the eye of the strength of the soul of the man has to observe, understand, digest, decipher, and then decide if I'm going to accept this mirage as a reality. And is that reality to me? Now, you understand that we really are entering the dimension of the space travel, really entering the dimension of understanding. We are really entering in the process of gathering the knowledge of the universe, where very few will understand, and then trying to keep those souls, what I call their feet on the ground, and not make them to claim themselves to be everything else. To be humble to teach, to be humble, to be part of the change, not only on this planet, but across the universe and unicos. What is the understanding of the man? Now that he knows, he'll be traveling in a dimension of his soul. He will not be traveling the way that today's flights and systems are, creating compression in the jetliners and putting man in what we call the monkey suit to send him to the moon and Mars. This is why you do not need any clothing or any kind of protection to travel among and through the universes and through different dimensions. As now, the protection of the man is the strength of his soul, where the soul decides at the point of manifestation to what the strength of inertia to manifest itself. Do not forget, you can still manifest yourself in the shape of the man in another galaxy, but as a mirage of the man. But in fact, in the dimension of physicality, you will take the shape of the time, the point, and the presence of the dimension. Then the people who are aware of your existence will see your dimension of physicality. But in the dimension of mirage of the soul, they understand you are from planet Earth. Many of you, when you become educated in this, you will understand that many of those who are amongst us are not from this planet. And you will start to recognize them. You understand to see them. You understand to be able to appreciate their beauty, where in the dimension of the physicality of this man, you will see them as a man. But in essence, when you understand this process, you see the real shape, that who they are, where they are, and which planet or universe they come from. Remember, I explained this some times ago about the men we met in a shopping center in Accra, where they came and they realized I recognized them, and they tried to disappear in the gap between the left and the stairs. Because we see them, we recognize them, we understand both dimensions that exist. And this will be the future of the man. When you see another creature in their dimension, but to those of your own dimension, you still have the same image of the soul, an image of the physicality of the man in the dimension of the time and the position. This is not becoming a chameleon, but this is becoming like wearing the frock. Want to be able to live in the environment and want to be the man inside the frock, that the others can see you're a man. These are part of the process that in the coming time, by using the enhancement unit flight system, many of you will face. You might even get a passenger from another dimension in the flight, and then you'll see what I see. But there is one thing in short. Those who have taken position and time and space on this planet from other dimensions are peaceful. So we have no fear of their existence. We have no fear of them being amongst us. And we have no fear of understanding that they understood the totality of the peaceful nature of the universe. This is what a lot of us will talk to the others. I've seen this and that, but they can't see because they were not present. So we do not create conflict. We do not create another dimension. We do not create another position in reference to totality. In the coming time, mankind, as we develop these systems, will see the progress and the developments of their own. In the new vision enhancements, we try to teach you to see this before you enter in the dimension of the transportation and transmutation. One of the main reasons that I developed what we call the vision enhancement unit is for you to understand the strength of, to understand the position of your emotion and your soul. When you enter these systems, instantaneously you feel it, and then your soul will adjust to it in a rhythm. Those who have been in it saw it, right, and they confirm it. It touches them instantaneously till the soul builds up the dimension of understanding, the dimension of physicality. You feel it in your heart, and you feel it within the emotion of the brain. And those who have been in it can tell you. Then you understand the new dimension of the transportation and transmutation of man will be different than what we have in the compression jets and what we call in the cars and the rest. Now we transport the soul of the man. The understanding of the strength of the totality, not individuality. That is why in the new flight system there shall be no death, as the death in physical dimension cannot exist as you travel in the dimension of the soul of the man. In a coming time, even what you call as a car transportation will carry the same. Killing by accident and car accident become a thing of the past, because in the dimension of the physicality of the transporting material, it sits the soul of it. And then you understand two plasmas, two souls can never touch. And if they do, they keep their integrity. These are the changes which to come. And in a coming time, as we open the senses of the knowledge and teaching, will expand. Those who came to test us will test themselves. And those who came to fail us, fail themselves. In a way, mankind from now on will open to a new dimension of both the soul and the physicality. And through the equipments and the systems which you deliver, you get trained, you get to understand, and gradually you become the man who had no skill in driving, and you become drivers. Then this time, you don't need the different certificates and what we call driving licenses for a bicycle, for a car, for a truck, or for an aircraft, as there is only one license, one certificate, and the certificate of the soul of the man to understand how he transmutes itself and how he manifests himself in different dimensions and positions. This will take time. This will take evolution in the science of understanding in the dimension of the boulder physicality of the man, and not in the dimension of the soul of the man. This is where we bring the soul of the man within a confinement of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality to be part of. That in that dimension, there is no need except the understanding of the emotion of the soul of the man. Then the soul of physicality becomes that point of reference, and when it positions itself in respect to the soul itself within that structure, it dictates what kind of physical understanding and emotional strength that physicality will carry in the dimension of the manifestation of the matter state or manifestation of the vision or observation. This knowledge has been hidden to man. And this knowledge now that man has to transport and transmute itself in the dimension of the soul of man will be taught. And many of you will learn and then will enjoy the beauty of the creation, even at the time of feeding the soul of the man to feed the dimension of physicality that no man shall kill. That's the end of the cycle of destruction for man. Once man goes through understanding and elevation of the systems and technologies, which gradually in the coming year will be revealed and released to man to become part of. In another word, we have come to a new year and a new cycle for mankind. For man to reach the position of understanding what we call the elevation of his own soul. Many of you will be baffled by it, but many of you in the process of coming weeks and months and years will be educated through it, and you will become the passengers of the universe, not in the dimension of physicality. This is the promise we gave by manifestation and the birth of Mitra. And then we have seen the cycle of the man. Tomorrow is another Christmas for the Orthodox Church. And it will be the change for many of you. Many of you will go through the phase of transmutation of the soul from tomorrow. There is a reason for it, and in time we'll explain why. And we take that process, the step by step, in teaching the human race the next phase of transportation and transmutation. And as we said, it will be done in the 3 centers, which is the Keshe Foundation, due to points of the energy fields of the universe we have chosen. Tehran, Arizona, and Austria. One day will be explained. As I said, when we came to show the manifestation of the fields, we chose Germany, Canada, and Italy. And now we have seen the same. We'll see that the manifestation of the fourth, which is the totality, is part of the star formation. And how and where we position these fields brings us the strength and the dimension. It's not the dimension of the place. Is the dimension of the soul who create that space and place. Then you understand the strength of the soul of people like John. People like Yusuf and those who in Austria have been instrumental in bringing the change. It is not a coincidence. It's chosen a long time ago. Humanity has reached the point of maturity. But how fast this maturity comes to manifest itself, it depends on its citizens, be it the plants, the animal, the stone, or the man. As we will make a man to be a stone and a stone to be a man. If any of you understood the strength and the knowledge of the plasma technology, we made gold out of the energies of the copper, and we'll make stone out of the soul of the man, that has no emotion, no feeling, if the man decides to go the wrong way. Till that soul understands the position of the strength of its existence. Now you understand what has been said. Even the stone has a soul, as we can change the man's soul to be the physical stone as he serves none. And it's best to be at that position until you understand the position and the strength of the savage. I hope today's teaching opens a new dimension for many knowledge seekers and many world leaders, and many of those who sit here to report falsified reports to the world leaders, and those who, through their conduct, have become that what we call phantom soul. Try to understand the teaching of today, and then you have opened a new door, not only to your soul, but to elevating the soul of the others which is amongst you. Then you might, in so many ways, will see many of the passengers of the universe which are amongst you, you've been sharing bed with, or you've been eating at the same table and working in the same office. Don't look at it as a stranger. Respect them, love them, and appreciate the way they have been amongst you to serve you and to be part of the society of the man. Maybe man in 2022 will be enlightened to the truth about the return of Mehdi. Then it depends on the rulers of this world and religious leaders to turn the tide and make the man and this planet a peaceful man and a peaceful planet. This is our aim, and we achieve, as we have access to the soul of all. But we always leave the decisions to be voluntary than enforced. But in time, they will change. It's the year of Mehdi, it's the return of the Messiah, and those who believe in the completion of the cycle of the knowledge of the man. Let them battle it, as we know who will win the battle. In so many ways, understand the process of the creation, you will unravel the secret of creation. And then, with it, understand that the creation is not only the dimension of physicality, but the dimension of the soul of the man. Many of you will turn against yourself, and many of you will work towards that point to understand more. Try to understand the creation of emotion and not to look at the emotion. That's the key to understanding the process of interaction of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality of the man and the creation of inertia, which leads to the creation of the man. How your eye looks, how your face is, what is the color of your hair, and what skin you carry. I like to have the emotion of the beautiful dark brown skin with the green eyes, to be 6 foot tall, and to be there with the beauty of my face, my strength, to serve those who I live amongst. Then you understand, you become the true man. It does not matter on the position of the nation, of the place, position, or the. I hope I have opened a new door for humanity to understand what is to come in the coming year and thereafter, and with it, to create a dimension of manifestation of the presence of the promised one. We go through a break, we come back, and I answer any questions which my soul have. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you. Okay, we'll play a few of the ads from the Keshe Foundation for the plasma technology. And we'll be back in a few minutes for continuation of the workshop.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. Essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before. The Universal Body Enhancement Spaceship Unit. The very first new evolutionary spaceship technology has been rolled out for mass production. Embedding the essence of the new GANS plasma science and technology, it uses collective plasma field technology for changing and enhancing the environment of the body of the man. This new plasma enhancement changes the environment of the body to allow it to return to its natural, balanced, energetic condition, as in the womb of the mother, allowing every cell in the body of the man to find its natural, original field strength balance. The shape and field distribution in this new space plasma technology replicates the inner structure of the universe and replicates the balance fields from which the man was created at the point of inception in the womb of the mother, not only receiving balance in the physical, but also in the emotional sense too. This new spaceship technology can be within the reach of every man today and can be ordered by medical practitioners, sports specialists, and healthcare centers. The Universal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, the future you have been waiting for, is here.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back to the 414th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 6, 2022. Mr. Kesh, are you ready to take some questions in this second part of the workshop?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Well, we have a hand up here with Stefania, so perhaps she can start off the this part. Hello, Stefania. It might have been an inadvertent hand up.
As usual with Stefania.
I think she took her hand down there. Okay. Just trying to see if we have questions in the YouTube here.
She said it was a mistake.
Okay. Okay, we have a couple of more hands that have popped up with Ed and Antonio. Ed, if you'd like to go ahead first.
Good morning, Mr. Kesh. This is Ed from Indiana. I'm just thinking, is our ability to begin to understand the space travel as we encounter the new dimensions and inertias and stuff like that, that it's dependent on our willingness to see and feel and understand the limitations of our physicality? I don't know if I've explained myself well enough for you to understand.
You got to understand, in a very recent teaching, I touched on something that had no meaning to a lot of you, but some of you who understood that will understand what it is and what it will be and how it will be. I touched on the RNA and the DNA of magnetic fields. One is the presence of the field, and one is the manifestation of the emotion which that field carries. This, when you look at the plasma of the soul of the man, does not carry an emotion on its own. It's a collection of the fields and what we call the emotion, which that the strength carries with it, or what we call the RNA of the field. And this will bring a two-dimensional phase to man, where our physical soul dimension carries an information soul strength with it, which is connected to that field of strength, which the collection has created the soul of the man, or what we call the information carrier of the man. Where the fields we see are the DNA. And the strength of the information which is carried as RNA of that field leads to its manifestation. So all the fields within the plasma of the soul of the man, within the plasma of even the copper gans, has and do communicate and interact and collectively manifest that gans as its representative of its manifestation of physicality. So is with the physical dimension of the man. This is more or less what, as knowledge seekers, as those who enter this phase of the separation of the soul of the man and the man, will understand. We, something which is on the sideline, I will explain to you or to understand. In the teaching of last Sunday, in the American teaching, if you get a chance to listen to it, and in the other teachings which we've been in the past 2 or 3 months, we explain the significance of 22nd of February, 2022. Is a combination of all the tools. And it's not coincidental that it falls on a Tuesday when the Universal Council meets, or when you have your Universal Council meetings. in the public dimension. And it is not coincidental that it's been said that way. The point of the reference of the soul of the man as collective elements will become the universal soul of the Universal Council and its members. And the dimension of the physicality is the physical man present in that dimension. And the maturity of the time and the point. It's for mankind to start a new cycle. And not only for mankind, but elevation and joining of the soul of the man to universal community will be completed on that day. And then man has the choice to interact and evaluate and respect, or still to the next generation live in the doldrum that the man and as a race had lived during the past millions of years. Be it as what I call the scroll in the holes, or as a man in walking with the intelligence and knowledge of the present time. Man is not matured if the man does not understand the presence, the existence, and the beauty of his soul within his existence. Otherwise, you're still at the scroll billions of years ago as a mammal on the roots of the trees to hide from the dinosaurs not to eat. Because nothing has changed in the intelligence of the man in understanding the true essence of the creation. And this process has started, and this process will carry on. And now is the time for this. This is what we said is the end of religions. Listen to the Sunday teaching. Go back as knowledge seekers and listen to the American teaching on Sunday. I could not explain it any better. That when we all, in the dimension of physicality, live in the dimension of the Creator, then there is no religion. There is no need for religion. Where the man completes the cycle, all understand the totality. And then there's no place for the kings and the kingships, as the kings who bow to the religion, with having grown and progressed to understand totality, cannot be a king in front of the king. It becomes like it just in the court of the king. This is what needs to be understood, and this is the point of the completion of the man. Because when we say it's the end of religions, it has come the end of the Islam, it has come the end of the Christianity, it has come the end of Judaism or Buddhism or any other path of belief, is once we mature to understand the strength of the soul of the Creator, do we need messengers to tell us? And then haven't they served the purpose to bring us to that point? Do we need for ayatollahs, popes and priests and mullahs and whatever you want to call them, rabbis, when our soul has matured to understand the totality? Do you use a taxi when you're already qualified to be a driver? This is where the maturity comes, when there is understanding comes. And this is where from the 22nd of February, the maturity of the man will start. The cycle of the new understanding, the handing over of the process of no religion, but believe in the Creator, in understanding the strength of the soul of the Mitra and the dimension of physicality of the presence. Strange enough, every time I speak about this, I get disconnected by those who don't want the truth to be known. When it comes to the 22nd of February. When you understand the truth, when the cycle of the understanding about your own soul become clear to you, do you need a name of the religion to pray, to understand, to connect to your creator? That's the end of the religions. That's without a doubt. You don't need a name to put on it except the elevation of the soul of the man. And teaching after today is for you when you reach that point and you want to manifest yourself in different dimensions, what it will be. Don't be frightened of it when you achieve it, when you reach it. It's in some of the teachings I explain, when we bring people out of coma, the first thing we do, we cover the front that they cannot see. The body is still paralyzed, but the emotion has been returned to the physicality of the man. They get a shock. They want to move the arm and the leg, they don't, and they go to a second shock. And this is what we're trying to avoid with most of you. When you understand to see the power of your soul, don't get shocked at how numb the physicality has been and is literally paralyzed to the strength of the knowledge which the body carries in the dimension of his soul, not in the dimension of his physicality. What I say, the sun of the truth has risen and will shine. And nobody up to now has managed to put a blanket on the sun. It shines the same in the dimension of the knowledge upon all its citizens in the universe, irrespective of time, place, and position. You got to realize, even for those who are on the backside of the earth, they still see that shimmer of the sky, that they can see through it. It's because the light of the sun still shines on the backside of the earth at the same time as the front. It's for man to mature. It's for man to understand the cycle and to understand that's the end of the religions. In every shape or form and dimensions, man has created a path to pray to his creator. As now the man is matured, completely has the understanding to understand that he has the dimension, the strength, the what I call the beauty to be part of, to understand he is part of the creator and he has to live by his conduct. Always ask, you'll be given. And when you're given, it will not be returned back. Because you ask for it to accept it. You ask for elevation of your soul to understand the totality. And if it's done with the pure sense of it, you shall receive it. You will be open to the eyes to see the strength of the emotion. You don't become a creator. You just become to understand the existence of the creator. You're not empowered to do whatever you like. You're empowered to serve those who are created by the beauty of the creator. And never ever imagine for a second, now you have become the creator. Then that's the time when the light of the truth will shine away from you and you become that dust. Soon mankind will understand what evolution and revolution we have started within the soul of the man to rise the soul, to free the physicality from the dimension of slavery to the dimension of being a prisoner and being imprisoned by not receiving itself. And that's the beauty of the new knowledge. While the physicality of the man imprisoned the soul of the man, the soul of the man imprisoned the physicality, but not letting see, understand, and be part of the totality. Now is the time to release both the prisoner and the prisoner. And then we'll see the elevation of understanding of the soul of the man physicality. We are not preachers. We are the ray of the light of the Creator. I will shine upon all the same. This is what man to understand. And those who work against us They need enlightenment, not punishment. The time of punishment is over. It's how you enlighten yourself, and then what you claim with it will become the essence of the totality for your creation. I made man in the image of myself, but I didn't make the man as me. The image never becomes the true essence of the reality. It's very much to say, if your hologram can think, make decisions, and do what it likes because it's just a hologram of you. Its name goes with it, it's hollow and carries no soul. If itself has not understood its own strength and its power and conformation to its own existence, you just become reflection of the light of the beauty and not the beauty itself. Any other question?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kesh. It's a pretty deep teaching that you're getting into here. Antonio, would you like to go ahead next?
Good morning, Mr. Kesh. I have a couple of questions. In the flight system, would it be a criteria that we'd have to first go into the vertical enhancement unit to balance the body before we traveled?
For those who cannot do it themselves, yes. Christ did without the machine. The flight systems, I've had the privilege to see something in the past that looked like a star, a bright star, and it made no noise, but it had an effect on it sort of had like a twilight effect on the light. It seemed to change the light. So I wasn't sure what it was at the time. I would say it was probably a craft of some sort, but I'm not sure where it came from. But within my intuition said that this was something special and just beautiful. It was actually very beautiful. I listened to also the Sunday American teachings, and you spoke, which brings great joy to my heart, about the coming of the promised one. And I just wondered, would he, the Messiah, or whatever people like to call him, need protection of any kind, or would he be indestructible? I would say that if you can manifest yourself on this physical plane at will, then you could probably be indestructible, you know. Would I be correct to say that? Would it be right to say, watch the space and see?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm looking forward to it, I'll tell you.
As I said, and many of the Iranian knowledge seekers who are here will listen to the translation of it, and people from the Tehran Keshe Foundation can tell you, the different religious groups in Iran have already started assembling groups to protect the Mahdi on its appearance. So they're aware of the change to come. And as we showed on the Sunday teaching, Iran had a television and radio has announced that Iran, or the Iranian government or the nations, the television, will buy any right to show the time of the manifestation of the Mahdi. This is a public knowledge in Iran. And if a national television, head of a national television confirms that they're ready to buy the right to show the time of the manifestation of the Mahdi, they know the time and the place will take place.
Yeah. The
Don't forget, Iran is a deeply religious organization, and you cannot be in these positions if you are not connected right to the top religious leaders. And if the religious leaders expect such a change and such a thing to take place, as we say, watch the space.
I did speak to some of the religious leaders from Iran years ago at the Parliament of World Religions in Melbourne. It came to Melbourne in Australia, and they were very interested in what I had to say, because pretty well much is exactly what you're saying. And so in a way, it's they were very receptive even way back then. It was quite some time ago, 15 years ago. So, and you mentioned Mr. Gorbachev, who is dear to my heart. I think highly of this man for his service and what he's done in the world and what he's still doing. I assume that he's still alive, is he? I'm not sure now. But I wish there were more leaders like him. It would make a difference.
And we had leaders like him in their own strength. The ex-Shah of Iran, he exiled from Iran for Iran not to fall into a mayhem and a mess. As that time, if he would have stayed in Iran and put the army against the people, millions would have been killed. He took the crown and the throne and left Iran for Iran to keep its integrity. We've had leaders like this before. And we've seen it in other dimensions in different parts of the world. Those who stuck to the power created mayhem. And we even see it today in the beautiful city of Almaty in Kazakhstan, how people are revolting against their leaders. And is the way the leaders manages. We had no problem with Nazarbayev from the time of the revolution to past year, 2 years, when he left office. And to see a beautiful city of Almaty or other cities to come under such a pressure in the past few days due to mismanagement of the leaders and still wanting to stick to their gun, it takes a big decision. I love the city of Almaty. I had offices there for years. It's one of the most beautiful cities in Central Asia. And I traveled there quite frequently. And seeing it in such a position in the past few days, it breaks one's heart.
Yeah.
But leaders are sticking to their guns, and the nation pays.
The
Gorbachev didn't take, sorry about that, Gorbachev didn't take that position. As the head of the Russian Empire, he could have stuck the guns out, but he decided to move out and let the integrity and the beauty of took years to build as a USSR to stay as a divided 13, 14 nation, but they keep that integrity. And that was a very big decision by him. And this is how we see mayhem created. We saw it with Hitler. He stuck to the last gun and stopped ordering retrieve and letting the guns down because he still wanted to be. We see the same thing with the Rothschild. It's the end of the Rothschild era. And they will fight to the last tooth, but their days are numbered. because what they built as an empire now become to serve humanity without them. But they could have stayed and be part of that change.
Yeah. The people power, the governments have to listen to the people, and the youth of today, they're pretty well much steering the wheel. I think they will bring in the change. I believe the young people of today, they don't follow too many things, not all, of course, but I see a lot of
But the
promise.
problem has changed in so many ways. It's two dimensions. The youth want the new change, and the old want the change of the past not to stay. The older generation are giving a hand to the younger generation, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where the strength comes. It's from both ends. The old want the change for the new generation. They're asking for it.
Mhm.
It's a time. It's a beautiful time if the race of the man becomes mature to it.
I think that the promised one will be bringing in the art of self-realization, that people will become to understand who they are, and eventually what you're talking about, the soul connection. In time, I think many will realize, become soul infused, in the sense of understand their purpose in this life. At the moment, it's all about entertainment. We're enthralled by entertaining and cooks and chefs. So your teaching on Sunday brought a lot of joy to my heart, to know that the future is looking a lot brighter, and 2022 will be a great year for many. I think a lot of tears will be shed. A lot of tears will be shed.
I get you in bits somehow. Their communication bandwidth is very small. I get a lot of breaks.
Sorry.
It's my fault from my, and we are in a position to change it. We are adding more and more security apparatus behind our systems for security reasons. The position is that the world leaders come to understand that they have no power when it comes to the will of the man.
Yeah.
The world leaders will come to understand that they themselves need to be led through and by understanding of the Universal Council. But the members of the Universal Council have to understand they have no power to think that now they receive their position and power. At that point is the time when they leave. Or their physicality will take them out of the leading or being part of. And in general, we'll see a what I call sustaining system, where all know their position and the responsibility of their position. We once we see the world religious leaders step down, the world leaders will follow the same. But then what I call collective consciousness of the understanding of the work of the Universal Council through their soul will set the scene. Then you will understand new ways of communication where people don't need to listen to radio or to attend the meeting of the Universal Council to understand what they think, as they reach them without. The progress has been set, and all the time, all gradually will change. We expect, when we foresee, and it's been set on the plan to be the end of the religions through understanding of the people of their own strength of their soul. And if you are very religious, you'll be enlightened first. And that enlightenment has already touched the Iranian religious leader, Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran, and the Pope, and the others. It's just how they can facilitate it is their problem. And as they said, they have to live two lives, the life of the guiding the soul and their own physical life. And this is one of their biggest problems.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest problems. We are very open. We don't go against anyone, but we foresee the what I call acceptance and the new cycle through the stepping down of the religious leaders by themselves, and no one to take their seats, because once you confirm the understanding, then it can be seen through it. How can you change it? Listen to the teaching, especially the first hour of the teaching of Sunday American teaching, those of you who have access to it. I put it in a very blunt way and a very direct way. And it has not brought fear in the Iranian administration. It has brought joy that they understand they're the center of the change. And this time the change comes in the correct way. But not setting another religion up, by not setting another sect up, by not setting another process up, but by setting one's souls to be the guide, to be the, what I call, the principal structure of change for the soul of the man.
The coming one, in a way, would not just be for any particular group. He would represent everybody, all religions, all people of beliefs and non-beliefs. So there would be no need for religion, like you said, when the time comes. But there would be a transformation of spirituality. I think there would still be gatherings of many, many people coming together, in spiritual centers, maybe to study, like you said, the soul teachings and whatnot. I don't know.
The beauty of it is, up to now, the change in the dimension of the physicality of the man was written in the books of the man, Quran, Torah, and the rest of it. This time, we write with the pen of the soul of the man, and has no books, and that's where the change will come.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the beauty of it. When one is ready to open the book of the soul, it shall be written on it, the knowledge of the universe. And that's the beauty of this time. There are no books to be and to follow, and a religion or a name to follow. If you notice, that's why we are called the Keshe Foundation. We are a foundation of the change. And there is no book written, you have to do this, you have to do that. And if you listen, today's, the front piece which we put out about the soul was deliberately chosen, where it says you care about the soul of what we call the children, or the children you create in the dimension of physicality, and the children which are brought in the dimension of the soul of the man. where now we understand the creation of the soul of physicality of the man soul is dependent on the man itself. It's a lot. Every time I ask Rick to play this, there is a reason for it in the teaching. And today has a very clear reason. The children of the man from his soul and the children of the man from his physicality has to become from the same school of thoughts and living, which has not been up to them. And this is the change. And when you have that, you don't need no one to conduct the soul of physicality to reach the soul of the man, as both work the same at the same time together. And then, is there a religion? Is there a need for religion to tell you how your soul of physicality works and collaborates and cooperates with your soul? And then you need the teacher of emotion to sit in your brain and teach you this emotion and that emotion, but your emotion is what you control. But this time is the emotion of the soul of the man. It's the end of the religions, whatever shape or leg they like. They can attempt to kill me, to destroy me. There shall be no religion. Because we thought to mature the man. And man is matured. Once you let the cat out, there's no way you can get it back in the bag. And this cat is out for too long.
There is a saying, Mr. Keshe, that there is no religion higher than truth. And I've always looked at
Well,
that.
it depends how much truth the religion have told us up to now.
well, you know, they for me, it's not all bad because it leads people to a point, and then from there we don't need the ladder. We can pass that on. So I think it's not a bad thing. It's what was necessary to bring us to this point, you know, a process.
You see, when you're not after dimension of the physicality, you can be truthful with yourself and others. And everything else will come when the time for it is there to come. We do our best to change and bring the change that a lot of souls can be, those who cannot be taught to be brought up to see by building up the new enhancement centers and the rest of it. They are not a point of wellness for your physical body. In reality, they'll be set up to enlighten the soul of the man when the man is weak or needs their strength and God. And then it'll help his physicality. And this is what a lot of people misread. Many people have come and donated millions to the Keshe Foundation and I refuse to accept. I said, if it changes your life, you do. If you think it cannot be done, the foundation is there to support the next step. I could have made a castle at one of the richest foundations, people offering us from lands to companies, gold and the rest. When we need it, when it's done, we take it and then it's used for its purpose. Otherwise, we build another structure like a Vatican with a lot of buildings and lands around. This is worth nothing, the lands on this planet, because it literally is nothing compared to the totality we have access to in the universe. Why should we slave the man to it? From the beginning of the time when we set up the Keshe Foundation, from all over the world, you've been witness yourself. We don't accept unless there is a need for it. And if we see there is a need for it, we set through the structure of the Keshe Foundation to raise it to do it. Yeah. Because it has no value if somebody else has to suffer because of it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. I've really enjoyed the teachings up until this point, and it certainly has brought a lot of joy to my heart because it has ticked all the boxes as far as how I understand and my my hope for the future has always been very positive because I understand what you're saying is happening and coming, and and the transformation will be just incredible. I can just imagine, men walking around on tiptoes, trying not to break this blessing that will happen on the day of manifestation. That'll be an incredible day, a day for joy, a day for a new beginning for everybody. And I thank you for bringing it up and having the courage to do so.
Just what we call universal travelers. Does not matter what name you put on it.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much. Any other question?
Yes, we have Marinez with the hand up here.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Gratitude for all you do. It's an honor to have this opportunity. I have two questions. First of all, there is a phenomenon. Rick, I have sent you a picture to your...
Yes, and I asked where the pictures came from.
From me, okay.
From where? Pardon me?
It's me who sent it.
No, who made the pictures? Where's the copyright on the pictures? Are we allowed to show them?
It comes from the tweet of Michael Moore, which was sent to a telegram, which this telegram was sent to me. It's from...
I don't think we can show this, can we, Rick?
Yeah, it's probably from a news agency, and you can put it in Telegram, but you can't post it on YouTube because they'll claim our video and copyright issues and so on and so forth. It's an automatic thing that happens with copyright pictures, so that's why we don't show copyright pictures generally.
Oh, it's in media and telegrams and
that's why we don't show it. It's in media. The media has put that out. Yes, you can show it privately in Telegram, but you can't put it in the public as a broadcast. Otherwise, the broadcast could be compromised and the copyright taken, and then they put ads in our videos and so on. They take the rights away from us.
Okay, so thank you.
Maybe you can describe
I can describe the picture, certainly, which is it's a huge crowd of people, and maybe Marinez can explain it more exactly, but it's your typical huge crowd of people times 100, basically. Like really big crowd of people. So tell us more about it, Marinez.
Thank you. In fact, it was a telegram from Michael Moore. It's a realizator, American, which I like also. And he has sent a picture which shows millions of people, crowd, seems like 40 million at the time, crowded in the streets of Iran and following the rest of the body of General Soleimani. And it's very, very unrealistic, even for me. I don't understand this phenomena. I have never seen such a unificator of all castes or all classes in Iran, even from foreign countries. Something in their hearts cried. And now it was 40 million people. After Khomeini, I had never seen such picture after the funeral of Khomeini. And Michael Moore is wondering how come we don't have such a mass coming for our generals. In fact, the phenomena is something non-explicable because this person we didn't know about, really?
There is a very big question mark on these things. We get a grief shown by millions. We get a grief incited, paid for by millions. And we have to understand the difference. Example of it is literally we saw some years ago when Diana died. We saw grief from a nation and many places worldwide. Nobody paid for it. It was spontaneous. It was something people found a connection to for what I call a victim. At that time, looked like a victim. And then we have where we see a combination of personal grief and then incitement by those who add to it. We call it a crying team. Those of you who are Romanians know this because it was explained to me when I was in Romania. You can actually go and buy people who go to funerals and cry, fake cry for the person that have no connection with it to show she was loved or he was loved. And we have to understand the difference between these things. Or what we saw in some of the funerals in Africa, people join the funeral because at the end of it there is food. They can get something to eat. You understand? So we are fully aware of these both sides in all countries and how it's envisaged and how it's promoted. But we have to understand this time the joy will come through the soul of the man. We see, we hear ex-world presidents die, ex-kings die, and it's just a funeral because they're just there. But when we all heard of the man who all we found a connection with, died in South Africa, most of the people who were aware of his existence and what he suffered with were into the grief, a spontaneous grief for the loss of such a man, Mandela. We look at a nation where we see, and we look at the bigger picture of what we are, and how they served, and the way they served, and what image was portrayed to be shown to be. And we can envisage it in many, many different ways. What is interesting, I explained this to some of the Islamic religion leaders some times ago. And what is interesting, for example, at the point of death of Muhammad, bless his name, what was the reaction in the Islamic world at that time? We have no portrait, no explanation of it fully how the Islamic nation felt and how outside the Islamic nation felt with what he brought. We have a phantom image of Christ built up to be. We know Moses was hated more than any other prophet at the time of his existence. Though we don't have any religious icon like Moses, who was hated more than anybody else at the time of his life because of the atrocities he committed. They don't tell you these things. They don't put it on. Moses was hated more than Hitler at his time because he did nothing but killing. That wasn't the promise. And then you speak to the Jews how they portray his passing. We got to understand, especially now with the mass media, you can exploit and exaggerate, but now we have to understand through our soul, is it real? We see people as our leaders, as people who take us to the position of strength and power, and we go to the next steps and we connect ourselves to it. But what from outside? How much of it is exaggerated? How much? You know, nowadays creating mass pictures is very, very easy. Mass numbers. The company in America has made this years and years ago, and they use it in cartoons and in movie soldiers nowadays. When you see hundreds of thousands of soldiers, it's only a few which is exploited and extended. I think it's the first time used was in Lion King movie that they could create so much numbers. So we can create numbers, but what's the reality behind it? The man is loved, man respected, but how does a nation react to the loss of a leader, and how is portrayed? This is what we have to face, and from now on, we can go within our soul and see how many souls moved, got a new position, or understood more because of a move of a soul in a different dimension. It cannot be exaggerated. There's nobody who can exaggerate souls and positions and the grief of a physical emotion of it. And this is the beauty of the new cycle of understanding the truth yourself. Nobody can give you an image. You can feel it, you can observe it, and you can be part of it.
Yes, yes. And it was kind of a unificator in every heart, which was Farsi everywhere. They all had a part of their heart trembling. It was very phenomenal. Everybody in the mass was from very rich to small child. And everybody had a feeling, even in medias, in the places where he went, Lebanon, the Christians of Lebanon, whom he saved from Daesh and all that, which they really admire his courage and humbleness and kindness. They have the image and the videos which pass on and on, the tours to his tomb these days. The tours are organized and people go to Karbala for him.
He touched many souls of Iranian, but outside Iran he was unknown, except to Israeli securities and Americans. Do you understand?
Exactly, they made
he was, and then he was made a martyr, which brought him more in line in Iran, and people got to know name. They don't understand what he did. They can't understand what he was instrumental in. And people at this point, they always don't do good things. They have to do some bad things to keep the good in position. And this is what we always emphasize in understanding both dimensions of it.
But people in foreign medias near Iran, they remember of him as a man who wanted to unify, who wanted peace, and of course he took care of Daesh for these countries. And this humbleness, when I see the videos, because now it's going on and on, he's very good-hearted, very humble, very simple life with little money, little very.
This is part of the structure of the Sepah in Iran. The people within the Sepah, through a structure of the military of Iran, all live very simple life. Those who are benefited by the bribery of the arm dealings in Iran, yes, they have a very rich life. But we know the true members of the Sepah of Iran live very humble life, live amongst people. Even the leaders live in small apartments amongst people. They never separated themselves from it. And this is why they're not so much. People don't understand this culture of the people who stood for Iran during the past 40 years. In the West, we see people like this, Iran. Most of the leaders live a very humble life, extremely humble life. And those who use these people's humbleness, they made themselves a fortune.
Exactly.
I said in one of the things now we have, right, as I said, is what we call deputy of the Central Bank of Iran moving to negotiations. It shocked me because we don't need unless there is some people's private finances in concert. And when he appeared as part of the negotiating team, yes, Iran has some assets that has to be released, but we know what other things are sitting behind it. And I don't agree with it, but that's the decision of the government of Iran. We moved from the front line to the back again as advisors, and we monitor it very closely. As I said, we did. When it ran into problem, Americans needed to be taught up a lesson or be told of the information. And on the 15th of December at 11:01, we delivered a massive punch to IAEA and American administration, which changed the course. Because Iranian leaders are still playing a game of innocent and not having, when Iran scientifically is extremely advanced. And in so many ways, we've seen the change. Now we still sit in the background as advisors. We still work in both directions, but we did our job. We delivered a massive, massive punch, especially to the Israeli government on the 15th of December. And we've seen, even in the past few days, the Israeli government has changed its position about Iran nuclear danger, because they know what we have against them, what we have in our hand. And now everybody knows what we have. You got to realize, when we delivered the punch on the 15th of December to IAEA, in a direct communication which is recorded, they immediately transferred the knowledge, as is the usual habit of IAEA, to Tel Aviv and to New York. Guys, Kesh has opened our hand. What are we going to do? We hold a lot of information to create a condition of peace. And when we interact, we don't need to be there to shout. We just punch it out with knowledge, with solid evidence, and with nothing you can do. On the 15th of December, when with 2 or 3 days prior negotiation with the IAEA, when I delivered the evidence, there's no way you can dispute it. And the biggest lie of the state of Israel was on the table. And the Americans knew, we know, and they knew the Iranian team carries the knowledge with them, but they are not mentioning it. It became a graceful time for Iran. You have such a knowledge, you know what to be done wrong, but you keep quiet about it. It changed the course of negotiation. Negotiation will be completed very soon. But to be advisors, to be there in the background, to monitor a peace process like what's going on in Vienna doesn't need to be there and shot and how. You unpin and everything else falls, and we unpinned it with evidence. Iran is prior that the others know they know. The head of Iran negotiating team carries the document with him in his briefcase, but he doesn't talk about it. And they know that he carries it and he doesn't talk about it. And out of what I call shame, you just go through the past week, the change of the position of the state of Israel on Iran nuclear. It's not coincidental, because it has no foundation. And we gave that no foundation to IAEA. And if you go on teaching the past couple of weeks, if you're a doctor, you report the matter to the medical association. I'm a nuclear physicist. I delivered the what I call the information to the point of my reference, which is IAEA as a nuclear physicist, and it cannot be denied. We changed the course. Doesn't matter how you play it. And it all changed on that day. And IAEA does not know how to handle it. And because of it, we see the peace process, we see everything change the way we wanted it. And these are the parts which world leaders use it as what I call a trump card to play when the time comes. I never let alone, and I never betray my nation, as one nation which is a human race. But when the children of this nation play games, as a father, we put them right. We don't blame the others for the other things, and they work the way we want. It's the same goes when we see correct conduct, we support it. When we see the misconduct, we put it on the table, and we did. It's not that Iran is innocent, still playing games in underground bunkers, different things. But that's part of the progress of man. The Americans are doing it, the Russians are doing it, and the rest are doing it. Now that we have invited the Chinese, the Americans, and the Iranians to work in all three, what we call research centers together, they have problems with it. Because they have now to share the knowledge in all three places, plus the Russians. And then what we're going to do, how we're going to share the knowledge which is open to everyone. The Arizona Center is the biggest punch in the whole structure of the Keshe Foundation peace process. Because the Chinese will be there, the Iranians will be there, and they could not work together. Everything was top secret. We saw how they put one of the directors of Huawei locked up in Canada for so long. Now there is no intellectual right, because the right is given by the Father to all to enjoy. And we see the process. Do we need martyrs and create crowds of it? Or do we become part of the process that we don't need any more martyrs, but we need those who enlighten the others?
Yes. In fact, Forbes, I got the news in a telegram that Forbes had stated that in Iran, during these last 2-3 years, the number of billionaires has added to 250 people. Is it 250 or 250,000? I think 250 billionaires, which the Saudians have 210. And in Iran, in 3 years, they have become 250 billionaires. So that's...
The thing is, in Iran, you become a billionaire very fast now, because it's an evolution in industrial revolution. What was ignored, it got exploited by those who understood how to do it.
Exactly.
This is part of... You see, we had suddenly a huge rise of millionaires in China some 30, 40 years ago. And new billionaires appeared. and then President Xi went after them, how they became billionaires. A lot of them disappeared from the scene of the billionaires and millionaires of the world because they got executed by the Chinese regime for stealing from the others. In Iran, the process of the new billionaires comes through a space of technology and science. We show the pictures of the research areas which Iran has developed. All these buildings needs billions and needs people who support it, and they have it to spend it. So up to now, they were ignored because the Americans don't want to show there anybody intellectual or rich in Iran. But actually, if you look even in America, look at the Facebook, look at the others and see who's behind, how many of the Iranians are influential in these big, even in the medias and other processes.
Yeah.
It is not just the Iranian, the whole world. We see a lot of people have moved in that direction. It's not exclusivity. It's part of the bigger family, and the new opportunities around the world are there to create such a positions.
Which is not equally shared with others in Iran. The prices for low people is very expensive.
It's the same all over the world. It's not exclusivity. It's not exclusive. We have it in, as a Keshe Foundation, I listen to a lot of things around the world. I see the same thing in Mexico. I see the same thing in Brazil. I see the same kind of things in China, in Central Asia. I see the same thing in Africa. We have more poor people in North America than we see worse than in Africa. So it's not victimizing. It's the nature of the man and the way he has chosen to live.
Yeah, I know something in Paris that the prices and what you said is becoming true. More and more people becoming poor. And
I was passing very recently in Vienna. I saw a food line, which was strange. A food handout line in nearly the center of Vienna, which is very unusual for a rich country like this. People waiting to receive food packages. It's not the exclusivity of any nation nowadays. It's how the world leaders decide to do it. We live in one of the richest nations in the world, in Central Europe, and was not only the number of people in the queue was shocking to me. I'm seeing more and more of them.
Maybe it's a test again.
It's a test. Sometimes you pass places and you don't realize. If you go to City of Prince, not very far from the exhibition center, somewhere between the exhibition center and the research center of the Keshe Foundation, under the train station, there is written on the wall, in a way, what gives you the impression, this is where the Jews were kept when they came by train to Linz before they go to the, what they call Gattos, near Linz, where they, whatever they did with them. And it's so in the center, it's so upfront that nobody notices it. But there is a notice on the wall. There's under what they call, it's not a bunker, it's an arch near the railway station where the Nazis brought the Jews and the others to be kept there before they were sent to extermination camps. And it's right in the city center by Danube. And it's on the wall. And we just pass it. We become passive to what we done to us as a human race.
We have had our hands dirty one way or other, some part of the history.
We always will. As long as we have world leaders, we'll have this.
It's ignorance, I think.
No, it's a greed. Greed of power is more than the greed of financial gain.
Yes. Yes, and nothing to do for it. Nothing. It cannot be changed. I see some person around me, and I can do nothing to open their eyes.
Because if they're opening their eyes, they have to make a change.
No, nothing works.
No, because that's what I'm saying. If they accept or they try not to accept, try to understand part of what you try to teach them or tell them, then they have to change their way. And they don't want to, because where they are and what they do is satisfactory to them, is what they want. When you walk around the streets of Paris, if you are connected, when you walk down Champs-Élysées, you feel, I've done that many times. It's one of my favorite places in the world to visit. And I go there quite frequently because when you walk down Champs-Élysées, you feel, you hear the marches of the armies who have conquered, killed, destroyed, and enjoyed the power of it. The clink clink of the hooves of the soldiers with the horses rings in the ear. I feel it through the soul. What that the street has done to the world. How did the Nazis drove down when they conquered France? And really they killed so many. And what did others do down that road? When you go to Arc de Triomphe on top, and what do you see? Triumph for what? Humanity killing more. And on the other end, you have the palaces and your military centers. It's nothing but abuse of man in different shape and names.
Yes, and justify that.
Yeah.
Thank you for your eye-opening wisdom. I have another question, which is very daring to say that, but I do it. I know a person who has done university in Iran, very intelligent, learned languages to learn religions and cultures, and does lectures. And years ago, he said, you cannot believe it, but I really found out there was a jinn who was working. He said, you make fun of me, but there is such a thing. And sometimes I think maybe
What?
The jinn is a creation, the jinn, like Satan or something, which helps human under some conditions and gives them power and glory and things they want, but they have to serve him unconditionally. And one of the things they have to do for jinn, depending, is the sacrifice at most. Sacrifice of children, humans, and all that.
I'm not going in there. Let me explain to you.
Okay.
We call it jinn and pari, we call it the devil, the Satan, or whatever. This is the conduct of the man himself towards himself, and nothing else.
What inspires man to kill freely these days?
The man,
freely killing the innocent.
Power. We had it very, very recently in Keshe Foundation. The power. And was said to other knowledge seekers, we're getting rid of him for me to become the head of the foundation.
Oh.
Power. Pure power. We're not going to historical point. This is knowledge seekers on this line that can tell you, I'm going to head the foundation. So him to be the head, we have to get rid of him. Even killing him, even knowing how it's going to be killed, then I'll become the head of the foundation. I hand it over to Rothschilds and the rest of it and the abusers. It is the knowledge seekers on this panel who can tell you, who've been told we have to get rid of him, which is me. As the foundation will be by inheritance, I'll become the head, and then we control the foundation. It is in knowledge seekers today. You don't need to go to time of history. Power. That's all. And that's why they were kicked out of the foundation. Killing was no problem because it gives you what you were giving to your masters. We are around the same as it was mentioned in the Sunday teaching of passing of Fabio. That was part of it, to destabilize, to get rid of. It's just power. That's what Satan is. You choose. There is nothing outside. It's you who gives to destroy. And this is a very recent passage of the church. Greed.
Thank you, sir, for opening these things for us. God bless you. And I suppose I am going to talk about, I've talked about with the other UCs that in every Sunday while we spray plasma water, we also wish for protection of our scientists. So we try to do that because it's valuable, and I wish you all the best.
We have to see, and we hope. We are trying to, especially John and I, to bring the world scientists into Arizona from all directions. In Austria, we have certain no problems, but we are using the Arizona Center outside the framework of the Margrave to bring the world space scientists and things together in collaboration with a lot of things. And we see it that way. It's the time that world scientists have to work and have a center to work together. And no better than the new technology that once we take the taboo of patterning and everything else out of the way. By example, in our communication with NASA and American, what we call aircraft and space agencies, and the same with other nations we are negotiating with to bring them in, it's very hard for them. That they have to work with another nation to share the technology, but they come to realize that without being in there, they cannot do it. So what's the compromise? We try to set the scene that knowledge has no value unless it's used for purpose of the perfect sharing. It's the same we do now in Austria with Klaus and the Keshe Foundation. It's the same pattern now Yusuf carries in Tehran. We make example of the excellency for space technology, but not exclusivity of one part of the world as part of one nation. Doesn't matter where we are, we just go to London or Manchester. It's the same nation, doesn't matter. We don't sign secrecy agreements between Manchester and London if you're a scientist there. Now we are making it internationally that way. And I know there's a lot of problem sits within the American administration, how to handle this move. We are setting Iranian space technology built partially in China to be done in America with the Iranian scientists, American scientists, Chinese, and the rest. The same thing in Austria and the same thing in Tehran. It's a very hard pill to swallow. Very hard pill, but if you want access to it, you have to yield to it. When you yield to it, you start sharing, and then there is no patents. There is nothing to confine or hide. I'm sure I see the joy in with John, that how he's bringing everything together there. We're doing the same thing in Austria, and I see the pains which Yusuf goes through it in Tehran. And by doing it this way, we bring an end to patent business, because the knowledge is openly shared by all nations. And gradually the Keshe Foundation centers become like this.
That would be wonderful.
Now it is wonderful because it's built, it's not a dream anymore, it's a reality. The flight system, 2 flight system, 1 a week, is getting shipped to Arizona, to Tehran, and to Austria. And we have paid for it in advance. It's not something done. Now we are ready. But the biggest problem is that we have to combine a flight system with not only carrying the physicality of the man, but the soul of the man, the knowledge of the man. And at the same time, to feed the man in both dimensions, the soul and the physicality, while you're on the craft. It's not just we take you from A to B. In that process of A to B time, not only your physicality will be fed, your soul will be fed to be elevated, but everything else within you, you come out of, even to go from few minutes flights from one to another, you will change. You come out a just man, you come out the man who finds peace, does not take atrocities from one nation to another. It doesn't matter where you come from. These are not dreams. These are systems which are built extensively. Even unknowingly, our team in Austria is building it, because I never opened the door to them what it's about to do. The enhancement units, the physical construction, the body of the car is built in China, thanks to Wang Lin and her team in China. The what we call the physical structure of the system, flight systems, are built, developed in Austria. The part of the control system comes from Keshe Foundation Canada. With people we have there, we already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in control system held in Canada now for 2 or 3 years. And it's all coming to one nation and freely. When you speak to the people, I watched communications between different parts of the Keshe Foundation who work in these kind of researches and things. They share knowledge so freely with each other. They're there for one aim, to bring that change. Now, it's not a talk, it's amazing how my ethos of no patent, no limitation is carried by the knowledge seekers who work within the foundation. Those who come to benefit by it and they escape and they build something and they think they promoted themselves and it's them, we've seen them. We've seen people who I thought personally, and when they found out they got something, now they went to the Russians and to the others to build the system in parallel with Keshe Foundation and they're hiding under the name of what do you call it, scientific advisors that Keshe doesn't know. It's us who's brought the technology. You will see me open their hands very soon. But it's a shame on them, because they could have received much, much more knowledge. It's the same what we've done with the Chinese government. They betrayed us on the 2 or 3 occasions, Chinese leadership, and this is one of the reasons we are not building the space system in China. They have to go to America because they betrayed the foundation in the times we supported them. We taught them instead of sharing it and openly bringing it out, we done so. I kept a lot away from Iran because of what they kept away. Since they start opening, confirming the knowledge to belong to the Keshe Foundation in Iran, used for everything, but they use in the space defense in their appropriate ways, we start supporting it. The knowledge of the Keshe Foundation belongs to its citizens. And its citizens are not only on this planet, but beyond. And it cannot patent the knowledge of the Creator. And it cannot control it.
Thank you, sir. I wish Youssef, John, and anybody who works in this path a lot of good luck and all the blessings.
Thank you very much. We were lucky enough to serve. We don't need the good luck. We received the luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other question?
Mr. Kesh, it's Dean here. We've lost Rick at the moment. He's got a power outage. So we have some hands up with Solomia. I'll let Solomia speak. Go ahead, Solomia.
Yes, thank you very much, Dean. Hello, Mr. Kesh. Hello, everybody. Yesterday in a plasma reactor, I put a question regarding the way and the role of our soul in converting the energy from plasma level, this state of energy, in physicality. Because you said in Magrav, we let the freedom of plasma to become free, and after we have to allow this free plasma to connect with GANs, with nano, and with matter state of energy. And my question is how we can do this by creating the need, and how we create this need for
the need for what?
The need for converting this plasmatic energy in physicality. Energy.
I don't understand what plasmatic energy.
What plasmatic energy from this free plasma, which is high level in I don't know.
I don't understand what you're trying to explain. You got to start again.
I have to, yes. For example, we are in need. So we created the need because now we have a crisis of energy, maybe at global level, but in Europe and Romania, we have huge crisis of energy. Electricity is 5 times more, and gas is between 9 and 8 times more. So many people just suicide because of this pressure. So we created this need. And now with our emotion, maybe we communicate with plasma emotion in order to get and to convert this high level of energy in our small level of energy at the physicality level.
Let me explain 2 or 3 things. First of all, what we see as a hype in the prices of energy consuming systems, what we saw in Kazakhstan now, and what we see in the Western Europe primarily, is to make up for what was lost in the past 24 months with not selling gas system, not many people using cars, not many people using other things. So they're trying to reach the target of what they lost. Doesn't matter what happened to the other people. So it's a very fake situation. I've been watching this very, very clearly. We don't see the hype of the fuel to go to $400 or $500 a barrel. We're still in the higher tens, but hasn't reached that threshold of what even we had 4 or 5 years ago. So how is it created to a man who's been in the oil industry for a long time is very puzzling. And it's just the greed of the nations to fulfill, to deliver what they already have abused. So that's one part of the equation. I don't see any need for the rise in energy prices. We don't have crisis. We had some shortfalls, and the shortfall comes from abuse of the finances by the local governments, by local administrations, by whatever over the past 30, 40 years. And now they want to keep on carrying that abuse. So how do you do it when you lost the incomes on taxation and others with shutting off the factories, restaurants, or whatever over the past year, 2 years, and others have used this opportunity to jump on. The situation in Kazakhstan we see baffles me, because I used to be highly involved in Kazakhstan with the oil industry, and I don't see how even they came to increase the power of the prices of the what I call the gases and everything else, when Kazakhstan has more oil reserves, 7 times more oil reserves than Saudi Arabia. This is not much known outside. Kazakhstan has a huge gas reserves. It's one of the richest nations on the oil, but it's a landlocked, so it depends a lot on the China line and what we call Central European line of the Transneft and Lukoil. I work with these companies for years. I know inside out how the system works, and I don't see this. And the same way we see the increasing prices in the fuel in the West due to the problem with Ukraine. Russia is tapping it on because you pressurize somewhere, we hit it right where your nation suffers. And we have seen the same process. Part of the negotiation with Iran, 5+1, is the huge gas reserves which sits on the Iranian side with Qatar. And now Iran wants to build the losses in the financial oil reserves, which was by restriction. We cannot, they can put sanctions on the oils, but the gas has escaped from it because they need it in the West. And Iran is one of the top major producers of gases. So we see this is all fakely made. But when it comes to sort of the man, if you can teach yourself, you can divert energies. You can walk in the snow and still be warm. If you listen to some of the teachings, I always said, if you know how to use the maglev system, you can put it in the room and you feel warm. Does it matter to you if the cushion on your furniture is at -4 degrees or 10 degrees? You're not there. And even that can receive the energy from your maglev system. Maglev system does not go through the power lines. If you know how to tap to it, maglev goes for transmutation of energy. Go back to very, very simple teaching upward. Very, very, I referred to it a couple of times and people left it because they didn't understand it. We spoke about cascading maglev system. It is not to transfer energy or increase the power in your grid. Is creating a dome between the two maglev systems, then you can become part of it. And then it goes, how did you make your maglev system? People don't understand the depth of the teaching. Did you create a maglev system that feeds your soul, that it gives you the energy, that you don't feel that hungry? Or did you make a maglev system that is plugged in and heats up a little bit of electricity here and there? I gave you the cake. You were so greedy, you went for the crumb. And that's why you asked this question, because you never understood what was given.
Of course, I'm a new knowledge seeker, and I can understand all these things. I agree with you. But our team from Bragadiru, they achieved to do something. Maybe you heard about this.
They have achieved not much. I'm with them in Romania. I know what others are doing in Romania, and they think they achieved how much. What it is, we are investing huge amount of money in hopefully in Romania, in a very near future. We'll explain. We are opening, hopefully, if what we are doing goes successfully, we open one of the biggest manufacturing bases in the world in Romania in the coming time, if what we plan to go through. And part of the knowledge seekers of the Romania will come into it, inevitably. It's a massive project we have undertaken, and hopefully we know within the next 3, 4, or 5 months, it will be outside China, one of our biggest investments. And it's done by the private funding of the Keshe Foundation, not relying on no one else. It is something we started months and months ago, and in my visit to Romania during the conference, during the summer, and we have made trips back to Romania to secure places, but massive investment will go on. The Brigadier Group may be part of it, but the knowledge is so limited. And we don't need no finances from outside to run operation. It comes from the natural processes of the Keshe Foundation in the past time we had. There are groups which are trying to work to the speed of the process, and we see a lot of things which we are not happy with it. But with the Romanian side, we already planned this over the summertime when we were in Romania, and now we're coming to fruition. But Brigadier units are not delivering, they're just delivering copies of the copies and a little bit of some. We have a couple of other people in Romania which doing a lot of work, appearing on televisions and the others, but they are not there to deliver the punch or do anything. But if things goes well, as our lawyers will complete the process, we open one of the biggest manufacturing bases in Europe, in Romania, because it costs a quarter of Austria to run these factories. Operational wise, we can ship directly into whole of the Middle East and North Africa. And strategically and scientifically, we have a very solid base knowledge seekers who can, some of them, be the base for the larger expansion of the Keshe Foundation in West Europe, and we can deliver prices which are West European, not East European, not West European, because the prices we sell is too high. And it's a decision made by the head of the Keshe Foundation, both ladies, that we move to Eastern Bloc to be able to supply. In a way, we have a huge Eastern Bloc who cannot afford the prices of the Keshe Foundation on the websites and other things. Now we produce in Eastern Bloc and for what we call the Russia and the rest that it can be afforded to be done. And Brigadier Group is part of it. This was set in motion last summer, and knowledge seekers from Romania know we have made trips into Romania, viewing premises and everything else, because there is a problem. We cannot deliver prices that is affordable by knowledge seekers in Western Europe, in Eastern Europe. And Romania is one option. Our investment in Poland and what I call in Bulgaria, we're looking at the angles, opening up the Keshe Foundation in Russia, which is coming up very soon as a limited company. All is coming up to be able to sell pieces we have. And the next step for us is Africa and South America, which will be served by Alex to make the new center. But Brigadier Group claims a lot, but we haven't seen much delivered much. And I've seen their system is just replication of some of the works done, not extension of.
As far as I understood, they use hybrid technology, Barbosa technology, and Keshe technology.
What do you mean, Barbosa?
Oh, I don't know. Is the name maybe of the
no? This
gentleman.
is a claim. No. We know he claims a lot. He uses the Keshe technology in the way it is, and as I told you, people come in with nothing and then they become. We've seen many times. They won't last long. And the minute we try to support them, they suddenly become gods. And such a thing does not exist in Keshe Foundation. It belongs to all and we share it all. We've seen it. We've seen what's going on. And they soon become to the end of their own work. Because we see it, we understand it. We will see how they suddenly become this and that. But how many of them have you seen surviving in past years?
Yeah, I'm not so technical myself. I'm trying to understand.
We are very technical. We understand. We are very, very technical.
But at the soul level, I'm doing many, many things, and people just making jokes of me. But
it depends how you carry it out.
Sorry?
It depends how you carry it out and how you do it. We don't, let me explain to you, we are observers. We don't interfere. And we've seen a lot of things, a lot of claims, a lot of whatever. This is the reason we open the patterns of the Keshe Foundation for the others to build on it. And it's good to see deviation, it's good to see extension, but it's part of the progress of the new technology. Everybody adds according to their understanding and their favor and flavor of our knowledge they have. This is the beauty of what you call nowadays open source sharing of knowledge without patterns. And this is how Keshe Foundation came to be. But a lot of people claim and they attach themselves to the foundation and then add themselves, but don't deliver much. We've seen one now recently coming up in the international market, which is a Keshe Foundation. Two things have been marketed in the past few weeks, which is totally Keshe Foundation, but they've changed it. But they use the same terminologies of the Keshe Foundation. Entanglement and plasma, what do you call it, balancing and the rest of it. But it's actually the Keshe Foundation technology, and there are knowledge seekers hiding behind it. We know who they are. And this is part of the setup of this structure, how people become. And it's very much irrelevant, but relevant to what they do for their own purpose.
Yeah. Thank you.
We haven't seen many of them lasting long. They're there, they make a dust and they disappear.
Yeah, you are right. I have the same feeling. Anyway, yeah. And sometimes I listen my soul and my intuition, and I agree with you. Just I want to share with you something that I was a little bit sick because I got this my energy was low, and I attract this quanta of energy package, you know. And myself, I have seen my body as an electric body, golden, and the violet ray came. And this ray, violet, just was put it on my face and on my chest and on my throat. And after this, I didn't have anything. I got the smell back and everything was before. I
don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was in a delta state, or maybe in another state of, I didn't measure. And I have seen with the eyes of my soul, my electrical body, I mean my aura. And another light of color of violet, it was violet, came from the cosmos. and just balanced my energy. So I think that my own Magraph just equilibrated, balance himself, because my feelings, my emotion was connected with this plasma of higher energy, and together they equilibrate each other, work each other. This is my experience from my own Magraph. I understand like this my own Magraph. I don't know if I'm correct or no, but this
I
is
don't know what you're
experience.
talking about. I'm sure you understand.
Yes, I understood. Just I want to share with you.
Thank you very much. Thank you indeed.
Yes, much
you.
love to you. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Rick, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. We had a power outage here due to a snowstorm.
Oh my God, you're really getting stormed. What's
Yes,
happening in Canada? You get the flood, you get the fire, you get the storm.
yes, we're setting records in every category as far as droughts and cold temperatures, hot temperatures, you name it, we're getting it all.
Oh my God. So now you're getting, and what happened to your bear? Is it still with you or has he moved?
He's probably looking for a nice cozy spot right now. I don't think he expected all this snow, because it's normally it doesn't even snow in the area where I'm at in Canada. I'm in a rare area that's fairly warm, but yeah, the temperatures are lower and we're getting about a 20 centimeter snowfall. I can't broadcast properly to live stream right now. I'm going to try to broadcast if we're going to carry on with the workshop here, or how are we doing?
Do you want us to stop? It's nearly 12 o'clock anyway. We go for 3 hours.
Well, it's up to you, Mr. Kesh. If you got some hot
Is there
topics
anything else? Any other questions or whatever? Or we call it a day. I would like to ask the Universal Council and members of the Keshe Foundation still support the soul of the negotiators. These negotiations in Vienna has a bigger scale implications in the future. And it'll be important to many of us, be it from the soul point of view, being from the power of the being in leadership in religious circles, being from the Vatican, because partially the negotiation in Vienna is a fight between the Vatican and what we call the Islamic world. They see it that way. We know it's been explained a bit thoroughly by them, that we control and we do. And I hope the soul of the Universal Council and the knowledge seekers are there to see this change through successfully. And then we hope that we'll be able to deliver by the whole knowledge in a very big steps, as you've seen today. If you understood the teaching of today, is immense knowledge being shared and needs a lot of time to be understood, and some knowledge kids might understand or have understood a part of it. And it's a significant teaching, especially in the space, deep travel space. The space travel through the dimension of the fields, not physicality. It's a huge, listen to it as many times as you can see if you unravels bit by bit still. But our teachings from now on, we taught about the physicality, the world of physics, and then the world of gases, and then past couple of years about the soul. Teachings from now on is connecting the two. If you understood the teaching of today, where and how you can convert. I touched this before in the last few months, but now we concentrate more and more on it. That we take the fear of conversion, the fear of what happened to, if I travel with my soul, what happens to my physicality and rest of it. In a way, we stop anybody to abuse the knowledge to put fear amongst the others as you become the students and you understand yourselves. As I said, and we are very, very clear about this point, we see the end of Islamic world, Islamic religion. We see the end of the Christianity. We see the end of all the religions in a way they complete their cycle by affirmation of the new cycle, which is what we call the knowledge of Creator. It's not that we're going to abolish that they'll never be there. It's just that they serve purpose to bring humanity to that point of change. And this is very important. And as I said in the American teaching, why we chose Iran in both religion and science, in both dimensions, as is a key factor, not only being the center of the knowledge, it's the center of where all of us, most of us, came through by blood, and then at the same time is aware the sentimentality of what I call the soul of the man through religion has got a meaning for, and we usually start with the smallest stone. We could have gone for the Christianity, you could have gone for the Sunni religion and the others. We started with the biggest and the most powerful center of belief, which is the Shia religion, with a point of reference. Less than 5% of the Islamic world is religious, but is connected to the line of the blood of Muhammad. We have no blood connection direct to Christ or to Moses in a way, even you're called Kohen, because a lot of people took that name of God, and to any others. And so we go to the source, to the line of the blood of Muhammad, bless his name. And through it, we'll bring the change. And with it comes the change in the science. As we said, science and religion will go together from now on, because the religion is understanding of the work of the soul of the man. And now we understand our soul is part of us. It's very easy to take the rest with us. And with that, we'll come to end of religions and the leadership and the kingship, as there is nobody bigger than the king himself, which is the creator. You cannot claim to be king when you stand in front of the king. It's embarrassing. Thank you very much for being here. And hopefully we'll see a new cycle of teachings in different ways and shapes and forms in the next few weeks and months. Thank you very much, Rick. And thank you for the Keshe Foundation in the background and the Universal Council.
Okay, very good, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for once again another outstanding workshop here, bringing new knowledge to all the beings of the universe. Thank you very much. Okay, this has been the 414th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, January 6, 2022. And I'd like to announce that the testimonials meeting will be coming up on Monday, January 10th at 8 p.m. Central European Time. And people are welcome and encouraged to bring your testimonials of use of the plasma technology or other experiences you can bring into that testimonials group. It'd be much appreciated. And also on Tuesday of next week, Tuesday, January 11th, we have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace and Justice. And that's at 4 p.m. Central European Time. And that, again, is another good workshop for people to take in. And of course, you should also pay attention to this Sunday's North America Corona team meeting, because Mr. Keshe may show up there as he did last week and delivered a wonderful message. And the link was in the chat for people to check out last week's meeting as well. Okay, I think that's it for now. I'll play one of my favorite videos from the Keshe Foundation to go out on, the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version. So we can kick up our heels and dance a bit for this new year. Okay, bye everyone, and see you in the next